spent 35 years in the medical device industry, largely in the regulatory profession at companies like Medtronic, Boston Scientific, St. Jude Medical. And I recently retired from industry, but I continue to teach at the University of Minnesota. And for 16 years, I've been teaching a graduate level course on how to come up with a medical device idea and navigate that whole product development process and evidence development, including clinical trials, and obtain regulatory approval and then commercialize. So it's a pretty big topic, really important topic. And so I continue to teach at the university. It's a very big part of my passion. I really like the focus on this topic. I mean, they're all important when it comes to AI and clinical trials. And particularly clinical trials are not only necessary, but I wouldn't say undervalued, but vitally important for any high-risk device, and including whether you want to get reimbursement or whatever claims you're going to make, even about a lower classification of risk device. But the art and science of designing, conducting, and reporting on clinical trials is really important to any size enterprise. And when you combine that with artificial intelligence and the advent of this technology and how that can augment that process, enhance that process, offer the sponsor and clinicians, for that matter, another tool to optimize this process, is really where I see the value is. AI is exciting, it's terrifying, it's a lot of things. But the way I see it in the role of clinical trials is you have to differentiate between use of AI in process versus use of AI in product, right? So we're all focused on discussing the regulatory challenges and trying to get a medical device with AI-enabled features through the regulatory process. It's very difficult right now, particularly if it has Gen AI capability in it. You're going to have a real tough time getting that approved. But I think the natural fit for AI in a clinical setting is focused on process. So it's a tool. So it's not lowering the bar for AI, but it's a natural benefit to help the sponsor, the clinician, design the protocol, monitor the study, collect the data, and then report it out. And each one of those has many different facets of how AI can improve and enhance and make that process more efficient. So that's my key thought, that while not entirely different, there's a real advantage of using AI in that clinical design, monitoring, and reporting process. That's a great question. There's several dozen different regulatory authorities around the world, certainly led by US FDA and the EU MDR, and now the EU AI Act. And that's freshly minted, EU AI Act. I think the ink's almost dry on it. They're still trying to implement part of it. But I think what is important to point out in the EU AI Act is that they have one requirement is there's always human oversight or engagement, right? Which isn't necessarily what FDA's outlined in their guidance at this point. But I think that's an important factor, not just for the EU, but for really harmonization of AI across all regulatory authorities. And I like that aspect of EU MDR, or the EU AI Act, because it maintains and obligates that human, so it's almost a human supervision, right? So even though you'll have unsupervised data, like Gen AI, you're still gonna have a human overseeing that and controlling that, I guess, for lack of better words. So with respect to how does this all evolve together, it's so rapidly moving. Clearly FDA has really taken the lead role in that over the last maybe even 10 years. And they got lots of guidance out there. They're working closely with IMDRF, International Medical Device Regulatory Forum. And actually IMDRF has adopted a lot of what FDA has advanced in terms of definitions and that sort of thing. So I think that's an important collaboration and step. FDA has really embraced the idea of AI, not only in products, but in process. I think folks know that here recently, in the last month or two, FDA did a pilot program to use AI tools to help conduct a scientific review of a drug application. And they found that to be safe and effective, if you will. And I think that's a really important step for FDA. In light of some of the reorganization and disruption of resources at the FDA, AI can help fill some of that void. And it really makes sense to have AI take over some of those sort of routine tasks and administrative activities. And the point I'd like to make there is that FDA, by doing this AI pilot, and there'll be more to come, we'll learn more about it. We don't know much now other than they declared it a success. I think that is FDA writing the playbook for how you can use AI tools such as that in your clinical process. I mean, literally, I was just thinking about this and talking about it over lunch. Literally what FDA is doing in that behind the scenes in this AI pilot that they're going to share more with would almost 100% translate to your clinical design, monitoring, and reporting. So I see that as a promising, important next step, and one that anyone that's involved in the clinical aspect of the organization should pay attention to that.